What's up, dedicated Dragon Ball denizens? I'm Ryan, and we're here for another episode of the Hawks Dragon Ball Nest. I'm excited to get into this one today. We are going to do another Green Vegeta deck. So this is the second time I do Green Vegeta, but this one is a revised version of the deck. I'm focused on how we're going to ramp up very quickly to make this even more of an aggro deck. I've gotten, I've shared this with a few people and gotten mixed kind of results in terms of what people think, but I really want to explain it and really show it off to show that this deck is much more viable than the other one. Maybe not as much so. Still, in terms of like meta, it's obviously not a meta deck, but it's still a very fun deck to play. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go through focusing on a lot of the changes I've made from the first one and why I made those changes, what they do, but of course we'll still go through all of the cards in the deck. I'll go over the strategies of how to play, what the strengths and weaknesses are. A lot of them still similar to the first video I've made, but maybe you haven't seen that video. And then we'll talk about some of the other cards to swap in, including some cards to consider from Set 5, which at the time of recording this video, Set 5 has not dropped yet, so I can't actually test them, but, we'll see how they're going. So anyway, let's get into it. Here is the deck up on screen. I have it. So these are the main changes I have made, right? First off, I've swapped in Bulma as an Earthling, and then I've swapped in 4 of these Earthlings with power level 5. So that's cost me a few things. I had to take out the Gohan Saiyan Searcher, and I also took out the 2-cost Gohan, which is a Self-Awakener and a 10k combo. So, debatable if I'm doing that, but the reason is that I want to be able to play this Nappa. So we see here, not Nappa, this Raditz, Raditz. So you see this Raditz KO one of your Earthling only battle cards and add 1 card from the top of your deck to your energy. So this is helping us ramp up. I initially wanted to fit this Raditz in, but just couldn't figure out a way to do so, and kind of thought the sacrifice. So I think it works. Really, like when it comes down to it, your Gohan was searching Saiyans, but everything's a Saiyan. So like, it's a draw card in a way, right? You're just drawing a card. So why not just play the Bulma anyway? And we go from there. Really what I did was, because I had the Goku in there, he was my cantrip, but I swapped, so I kind of really lost the Gohan for this guy to help ramp. So I am losing 10k, 5k combo per card. And I'm also obviously losing the ability to self-awaken, but that's okay. Really now we're just going to have to rely on Nappa to do that, or our opponent attacking us, which more so is going to be Nappa, because we also want to be applying pressure. Another of the main changes I made was removing a warm greeting and replacing it with Big Bang Attack. I just wasn't really liking how it was ramping my opponent when I'm using a warm greeting to get rid of their 4-cost cards. The only time it really works is Jiren, but at the same time, like, okay, you're doing it once, like they're gonna play another Jiren. Like, Jiren is just it still remains a really bad matchup for Vegeta, and you're probably gonna lose even with a warm greeting in there. So I went with Big Bang Attack. If you have 6 or more energy, you can reduce this card by 1. And then you're going to place an energy and drop. Choose one of your opponent's battle cards with 5 or less and KO it. So this one brings you up to being able to auto KO 1 cost higher, so you can get a 5, which is really helpful. Sometimes it can also help if I've used it before if I'm having trouble awakening, which is going to be a little bit more common now, to put a card in drop so that I can maybe use some of the effects of some of these other cards like Raditz and Nappa. Raditz and Goku on there, and really you can reduce by 2. A lot of times you're not even going to need it if you're at 5 charge and you don't want to charge up. Then usually you're going to be playing a 3-cost card anyway, so we have that. But if we do want to go ahead and charge up to 6, maybe for example we're going to drop the Gohan that turn, then you can play it for 1 and put it in to drop. So I think this is a good card. It works. I've had a lot better results with it. I just feel a lot better about using a Big Bang than that. Now the last one in here that I've swapped out, I do have a Kaioken Goku, but I actually completely removed the SR Goku in there, and that was tough for me to do. I really liked the card. I liked the concept of the card, but at the end of the day, it wasn't really doing it for me because we're losing an attacker on the board. And really I'm finding out like, okay, yes, sometimes we're able to eliminate a high cost card, but then I'm vulnerable in this card. This Vegeta deck overall is just about like aggro. So I'm losing an attacker. I really like this card for a few reasons. It's just a very versatile card. Yes, it has 0 combo, but as long as you're placing a card from energy into drop, you're going to draw a card. So obviously sometimes you're going to draw an extra, or you're going to draw another 0 combo, but in essence it can be a combo. You can get a combo from playing it even if you attack or not. And then the other thing is, again, it's a 3 cost, it's easy to remove, but it's a blocker card and it's 25k. So I'm using this a lot of times, like I'm going to drop him, like for example, obviously with my Vegeta leader ability, but a lot of times too, I'm going to drop him with my Gohan's ability, and then he's going to sit out there. I'm going to end my turn by drawing a card, and then I've got a blocker on the field. A lot of times your opponent is, before they do anything, they're just going to attack with their leader. So that's a free defend right there with Goku. I'm usually going to be able to defend. Boom, now I don't have to waste any cards in hand defending a 20k attack from their leader. Obviously, if it's a 25k, you're going to make a decision. Do you want to just let this Goku die? Usually not. You're going to want to just drop a 5k combo to defend it. But I think that this has done a lot better for me with kind of all of this in here, right? We still have this Vegeta, obviously, as we go through the rest of the cards. This one's just a staple 10k combo, 25k attack. Vanilla is going to do it for you. Now the Nappa is one that you are going to be wanting to focus on, and a lot of times I find myself making the decision on combo where I'm gonna kind of get to my awaken in a 2-turn idea, like, because you can ramp up and you can do it quickly, whereas you can go, okay, who do I want to play, Raditz or Nappa this turn? A lot of times, maybe if I'm still at 6 or 7 life, I'm going to go Nappa, ramp to 4, and then I can ramp straight up to 5 and awaken the turn after. So it's pretty good. You're able to move this to your life. So you're going to really be relying on Nappa as your only self-awakener. So it does make this a little bit risky, but you can also know, like, just knowing the fact that we're going to be able to drop and play a lot of cards, like especially early, like with this Raditz, your opponent's going to go after him and they may not attack you for a turn. So one thing you're going to have to do is just don't defend your guys on field except for Nappa, which means this is what I mean is why you want to kind of wait to play Nappa for as long as possible, because either you don't want to attack with him so they're still forced to attack you to help you awaken, or you're just playing him the turn to help you awaken right there. A lot of times it's going to take a few turns because we're not going to be able to play really any attacking cards till we get to 3 energy. So your first 2 turns are going to be playing a Bulma, playing a artificial full moon, and then going from there, right? So that's kind of, for the most part, where we're at. We're obviously going to be using this Raditz a lot. This Raditz is a card you're never going to want to charge no matter what, because you can't get him back. So kind of focusing on dropping your Raditzes to help you pull back from hand. A lot of times what I'm going to do is, because this Goku is easy to remove, I'm going to defend. I'm going to prioritize grabbing him and dropping him, immediately. And that's where this Gohan really comes in handy, because your Raditz, usually you use your Vegeta leader ability to drop him so that you place 1 and drop. And then you can go ahead and play this Goku at the end of your turn. Or, hey, you know what? Maybe we don't have that. So I can use a Big Bang attack if I have that in hand. Place an energy and drop. And then with my remaining 3 energy, you drop Raditz. And then you're able to pull back and use your leader ability. So there's a lot of ways to play this deck. You kind of have to think creatively, think a little bit ahead. But I think it's really cool. Your main priorities, though, are to get to 5 energy as quickly as possible, awaken as quickly as possible, and then just each turn decide, am I going to drop a Gohan or am I going to drop a Grade 8 Vegeta? So I increased, when I first made this deck, I had 2 copies of each. So I increased to 4 of each because we really want to make sure. And hey, in a pinch, again, you really don't want to use Gohan, but he's got 10k combo power, if we remember that. And then you can do a lot of flexible things with him, whereas you're going to eliminate one of your opponent's 3 costs or continue to swarm the board by dropping your own 3 cost card. So it makes this deck pretty aggro. You know, if you can survive long enough to where you've got a big enough board to where they can't attack, then you're good. But you know, you want to continue to add pressure. But let's get into some of the specific strengths and weaknesses and strategies of how to play the deck. So again, this is a deck where we want to quickly ramp to 5 as quickly as possible, you know, as fast as you can. So you're going to be using Nappa to do this. You're going to be using Raditz. And I mean, that's not really news. That's what you always wanted to do. But that Raditz card makes it a lot easier to do so. And also remember that while this one's going to ramp and put it in rest mode, Nappa is going to be able to get that energy straight into active mode. So a lot of times I'm going to be able to maybe play a Bulma to draw from there. Really, that's my only 1 cost. So a lot of times, to be honest, I do find myself ending a turn with 1 or even sometimes 2 energy left over early on in the game. But you know what? That's okay. Pressure your opponent. Pressure early. This is a deck where I'm attacking as soon as I drop an attacker, whether they're awakened or not. Sometimes I'll make the decision of not if I'm going to awaken them and I don't quite want to. But you really want to pressure them and get, you know, force them to defend as much as possible, get their life as low as possible, and really focus on like what's going to get their hand size down. And all with the same idea of like, it's okay not to defend these cards. These are 20k, 25k attackers. We're able to pull them right back from our drop with Raditz when we drop him, and really kind of get ourselves ready to where we're going to be dropping that 6 cost grade 8 Vegeta and then starting to do some damage, and he's a lot easier to defend. So don't waste your combo cards on some of these lower cards, even the 25kers. You know, drop them. The Raditz did his job. Attack the same turn. If he gets KO'd next turn, that's all right. We got someone to replace him with. Even the Vegeta, you know, of course sometimes you are going to want to make those decisions, but you know. Now, the other strategy is awaken quickly, and like I said, that can be tricky because Nappa's our only awakener since I removed that Gohan. I may find a way to fit him back in. I think he would be good to keep, you know, perhaps even getting rid of some of these 3-cost Vegetas, because we don't, with the moons, and what I mean there is the moon Vegeta, but you know, I think reliably playing our moon is important, so maybe not, but you know, let me know in the comments what you think. Maybe we can even get rid of some of these guys. I don't know. But again, Nappa's our only way of awakening. So you do want to play your board strategically because you want your opponent to attack your leader. And just don't defend. Obviously, if they've got a big board already and they're going to hit you for 3 times when you're at 5, you know, maybe defend a few before you awaken. But for the most part, like, you want to force your opponent into attacking you while at the same time thinking about how you can put pressure on them and attack with your attackers before you're awakened, right? And then really from there, we want to get that grade 8 Vegeta out there. You know, we're able to KO a 5 cost with him. He's a 40k. He's a double striker. What else is there to be said? So he's going to really put pressure on your opponent, and if you ramp up right, you know, you can really kind of play him a lot of times 2 turns early if you can drop a Raditz and a Nappa beforehand, you know, on consecutive turns, then you can get him out pretty quickly to where your opponent might not be ready. I find myself a lot of times dropping him when my opponent's only at charge 4 or things like that, especially against, like, for example, red. Like, you want to really like get their hand as low as possible before they're going to drop that secret rare Goku. Against blue, before they're going to drop that Zeno, and thinking about like how your board's going to look when they drop a Zeno, and not only potentially get rid of the grade 8 Vegeta, but if you've got a wide board beyond that. Strengths and weaknesses of the deck. Strength, as I've been talking about ad nauseum in this video, this can quickly ramp. Very quick ramping of this deck. I built it just to do that, you know, thinking, and after I was playing androids for a bit, I was like, why are we not focusing on this with a lot of these Green Vegeta decks? I think it's important that made it weak because we know that he is vulnerable late game, so why are we not just trying to get this game ended as quickly as possible? It's very aggro, right? Very aggro, which isn't, the game isn't in the best place right now for aggro decks. I think that's why, the only one we're really seeing are like the Super Baby with the Rildo package and things like that. So the game isn't really built for it. But if you can do it, you're going to win some games out there. And it makes it fun. It gives you a little bit of a difference here. Another strength is it's got some underrated draw power. Reason being is it's so easy in kind of quotation marks, to pull that Goku back from drop and just continuously play him as a defender and then continually draw cards. As long as you get your first one out and can find a few Raditz, if he gets knocked out, goes to drop, you pull him back and just keep playing him. You can have some underrated draw power, and draw is important for this deck because we do want to find our Gohans, we want to find our great 8 Vegetas and keep those flowing so that we can, maybe not be playing our 3-cost Vegetas with the 10k combo or and either of those 3, they both have 10k combo, so that we can use those on defense and then use our Goku, decide like, do I want to attack with him or do I want to use him as a defender? He does have the flexibility there. But don't defend him. It's okay if he gets knocked out, unless you're already sitting at like 3 in the drop. Thinking about that. Anyway, weaknesses though, it is built around 3-cost cards, and I mean, three costs are not very strong cards. They're easy to remove. They're easy to KO just from attacks after you're attacking, and you are going to be attacking with them, except for this Gohan. He's a 5-cost anyway. Yeah, and especially the game is moving more and more towards just higher cost cards. All of these secret rares in set 4, we had the secret rare Goku, which added that into the red. Secret rare Vegeta was a 6-cost. Now we're getting a between 3 and 7-cost secret rare Goku. So these 3 costs are weak, and I think that's one of the biggest weaknesses of Vegeta. Would have been really nice if rather than 4 for Vegeta's ability, it was 5, so that we could charge up to 6 or 7 potentially. But that's not the world we live in. So it does make him weak. It does take away from your defense there, because you don't have a lot of cards that you can just combo away for 10k. We do have a lot of zeros. I kind of got this deck for as few as possible. You are going to see now I only have 8 0 combo cards, which a lot of these decks do have a lot more of now. So only my Nappas and my Gokus, which is okay. We don't ever want to combo them anyway. But we still don't have a lot of 10Ks. Really our 2 Vegetas, we have 8 Vegetas that are going to give us 10k, and then we've got 5, 5, 5, and 5. And again, with this Raditz, you don't really want to be comboing him. So it's tough. It makes this a tough deck to play defense on. You're kind of it's a deck that really goes hard early, more of a mid game, to be honest. I mean, even early you're not going that hard. Mid game, and you want to end it before you get late game with your opponent, right? And then it's a very vulnerable to board wipe. Once we get to 6k, especially like you're going to be attacking with these guys. So when a secret rare Goku gets dropped, even your Raditz, your Goku, and your Nappa that just attacked are going to be down to 5 and 10k left. It's going to be pretty easy to knock those guys out, and really hard to defend. Obviously, you're not going to want to defend a 5k Goku or Raditz. So it's tough. This guy's getting straight knocked out. So your board is really cleared after that, and then obviously Zeno. This is a board that wants to play wide. So if a Zeno gets dropped, it can be devastating. So thinking about those types of things here. Now let's talk about some of the cards that are in the next set that I may want to add into this deck, and they're not in the game. So hey, you were going to throw some little screenshots up of them on screen. So we have the Goku secret rare coming in, and I've gotten a little bit of pushback on this because you do need your life to be at 2 or less, which I will agree. Like if you're at 2 or less with Vegeta, you're kind of dead. It's probably over. They're gonna probably be able to get a double striker on you and just end things, but maybe the opposite can happen. So I kind of want to replace one of my great apes with him, because it gives me a little bit of flexibility. He is 45k, so he's got 5k more, which means your opponent, that's significant. In my opinion, the difference between 35 to 40 to 45 is a huge difference. You know, your opponent is going to have to drop another card. They're going to have to do a super combo and a 10k to get out of this, or if they don't have a super combo, just a lot. I mean, and this is if you're attacking their leader, right? And the thing about it that I do like is you're going to reduce the cost of this card by 4 if you don't, as long as you don't have another one out there. So if you're just playing one, it can help. And again, you know, the consistency of being able to draw this if you're only playing one is arguable, but I do like it to give some flexibility to where maybe you don't have to charge that turn, right? Because again, you're staying at 5 energy, so once you're going to drop that grade 8 Vegeta, you're going to have to charge 1, throw 1 and drop. So we're going to be able to play him for 3 just on regular energy. Obviously, we cannot use Vegeta's ability to put him in because he unfortunately has the freaking planet Namek there. So that's terrible. But I mean, thinking about that, he's going to be 3 energy to play and then a 7 and really hard to remove. I mean, no more harder than your grade 8. But you know, 45k double striker, I think it's worth playing one of these. Obviously, I'm going to want to test it out and see how good it is, but I would swap one grade 8 Vegeta for this bad boy and kind of see how things work out, right? From there, I think a really good one would be Murray. If I can get him up here. Murray, and this one is kind of a consensus that maybe he's the only one you're going to be swapping into this deck. He's got you some nice 10k power. He's a 1 cost, and he also has 10k, so he's not going to be able to just automatically be popped by your opponent's red decks who are playing, you know, these Whis. I mean, 10k, he's still going to get popped easy, but you know, they at least have to do a little bit more to it. Notice the on play, add 1 card from your life to your hand, so it is not optional, but he does give you some awakening options there. So if you could kind of fit him in, it would be nice. This one's again a tough one because I don't know what I would remove to put him in this deck. He is a blocker too. He gives you that kind of options of defending. But, you know, I don't know. I'll have to think about it because I don't necessarily like the forced life on that. It would be nice to be able to play this as a blocker late game. But, you know, obviously you don't want to take that life. So that makes it tough. This one is one that, the other one that people are putting that they want to play, I think kind of looking at the fact that he again has the 10k combo. But, I mean, in my opinion, I don't know. Your life is at 2. He gets 15k power, so okay, cool, solid. I mean, that is something significant that he becomes a 3 cost with 35k power. It's only on your turn, so remember that he's going to go back down to 20k on your opponent's turn and be easily removable. He can self-awaken you, but only when your life is at 2 or less. You know, the same people who are saying that he's not, that the other double strike Goku's not good because of life being at 2 or less, are the same ones who also want to play this card. So I don't know. In my opinion, I don't think I'm gonna put this one in, but he is something to consider going in there. Again, it's unfortunate that all of these have Planet Namek because he could be a lot better option if he was Saiyan only. Alright, and then full power. This is another one that it's kind of a happy medium almost between a warm greeting and Big Bang attack in some ways. If your life is at 2 or less, it's 1, so you do have to be at 2 or less, which kind of sucks. You can choose 2 battle cards, 2 of them though. Where's my finger? Oh, this one. 2 battle cards with 2 or less and KO them. So that's pretty good late game. It is going to help you be able to clear out your board if you are getting down to it. To be honest, you know, if you can think of a way with Vegeta to defend yourself at 2 life and put yourself in a position to where you can defend against a double strike, then, you know, some of these cards would be good to play. You know, maybe we'll play more of those secret rare Gokus, and maybe we'll play more of these full powers. But, you know, that's playing with fire because it's very hard sometimes to control your opponent's hand size. But this is a pretty good card to think about. If you can think of a strategy to still be survivable at 2 or less, or maybe even playing some other cards, then we can go from there. In fact, you know, I don't know why I didn't include this one. Let me throw it up here now. Is Dende. Dende could be one to think about, where you're going to be able to combine with some of these cards where you play them at 2, and then you get yourself right back up higher. So let me show this Dende. Now this one is pretty interesting. For example, that last card costed 2. This is a 3-cost card, 5k. It's a 10k combo. But notice this is activate main, switch this card to rest mode. If your life is at 1, add the top card of your deck to your life. So you do have to be at 1, and you can get back up to 2. So it still doesn't necessarily do what we need, and that's probably why I didn't include it initially. the funny parts of doing improv stuff as I record. But, you know, you can think about using maybe a Dende to help you get up there. Maybe, for example, you just let yourself get down to 1, and if you know your opponent doesn't have a double strike this turn, and that might give you enough to get things happening. I don't know. It's probably not, but, you know, Dende's in there. It's one to think about. 10k combo, you can drop it with your energy, because obviously you're not going to be able to be playing this one out there. This is more of a Goku card, but it's one to think about. So we've got some to think about in the next set. Not a lot. It's very unfortunate that Vegeta got absolutely 0 support, like zero Saiyan only cards. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I'm holding out hope that maybe, you know, considering Broly's going to be a green leader in the next set, there's going to be a starter deck that hopefully we can get some Saiyan only Broly cards in the next set. We'll see what happens. I just hope that they do something with this Vegeta. I think that they maybe don't know how to balance him. You know, maybe Bandai's afraid of making him OP and is just not going to do much, because it is a slippery slope. You know, this leader can be pretty good with not, but I just don't understand it. I think it's not that hard to do this. But anyway, hopefully Green Vegeta will be good one day. But I think with this deck, he's at least viable. He can win some matches. I've been doing pretty well with him, and we'll see that in our next video where we're going to take this online. Alright, well, that's going to do it for this episode of the Hawks Dragon Ball Nest. Thank you for coming. Thank you for joining and checking out my new Ramping Green Vegeta deck. It's pretty good. I've won some matches with it online. I've gotten a lot better to where before with my old version and a lot of the more popular versions, I'm losing much more than I'm winning. I've gotten to, I don't know, I don't track too close, but we'll see when we go. But I would put it at least a 50% win rate in that case, and I have a lot of fun with it. If you don't care about winning every match and you're just kind of playing to have fun, it's a good deck for you. So tune in next time to see how that goes and how we do online as we test it. But until then, if you liked what you saw, please hit that subscribe button so you can become part of the Hawks Nest fearless flock of fabulous folks who love to do what we love. I love making these Dragon Ball decks and just finding odd ways and uncommon ways of at least making viable decks out there. One day I'm going to have a deck that is completely rogue and takes it all, though. I can't wait for that day when that day comes. But, you know, if you're not quite ready to fly it, just hit that like button. So that way we're going to show up in an algorithm near you in the future. But until then, we will see you next time.